You think you're in control of your choices. You think when you pick that coffee, wear those sneakers, or decide what to believe, it's all you. But what if I told you that almost nothing you do is actually yours? What if every decision, every preference, every thought you have is being quietly shaped by forces you can't even see? Welcome back to Literate Lens, where we don't just read books, we unlock the hidden patterns that control our lives. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because today we're diving into one of the most eye-opening books you'll ever encounter. Jonah Berger's Invisible Influence will shatter everything you thought you knew about yourself. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your choices the same way again. Picture this. It's a regular Tuesday morning. Sarah walks into her favorite cafe, the same one she's been going to for 3 years. She orders her usual, a medium latte with oat milk. The barista smiles, already reaching for the cup before she even finishes her sentence. Sarah feels good about this. She knows what she likes. She's consistent. She's herself. But here's the thing. Sarah has no idea that her coffee order, the one she thinks is so uniquely hers, was actually influenced by 17 different social forces she never noticed. The friend who mentioned oat milk was healthier 6 months ago. The influencer she follows who always has a latte in hand. The fact that everyone else in line seems to order medium, never small. The way ordering the same thing makes her feel like she belongs. Sarah thinks she's making a choice, but really, she's dancing to a tune she can't even hear. This is what Jonah Berger wants you to understand. We are all like Sarah. Every single day, we live under the illusion of independence, believing we're captains of our own ships, charting our own courses. But the reality is far more unsettling and far more fascinating. We are constantly being pulled, pushed, and shaped by invisible social currents. And the scariest part? We have no idea it's happening. Let me take you back to a moment that changed everything. It's the 1950s, and a psychologist named Solomon Asch is running an experiment that would shake the foundations of how we understand human behavior. He gathers a group of people in a room and shows them a simple line on a card. Then he shows them 3 more lines and asks a basic question. Which of these 3 lines matches the first one? It's obvious. Anyone with eyes can see the answer. But here's the twist. Everyone else in the room, they're actors, and they're all saying the wrong answer. On purpose. What do you think happens? You'd like to believe you'd stick to the truth, right? You'd say what you see, regardless of what everyone else says. But here's the brutal reality. 75% of people conformed at least once. They looked at a line they knew was wrong and said it was right, just because everyone else did. Think about that for a second. These weren't people under pressure. No one threatened them. No one offered them money. They just couldn't handle being different. And if people will lie about something as simple as a line on a card, imagine what they'll do with their beliefs, their values, their entire lives. This is the power of social influence. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask permission. It just quietly rewrites your reality. But here's where it gets even more interesting. We don't just conform because we're weak or scared. We conform because our brains are wired to do it. Deep in our evolutionary history, being part of the group meant survival. If everyone in your tribe ran from the rustling bushes, you didn't stop to debate whether it was actually a lion. You ran. The ones who didn't, they didn't pass on their genes. So we inherited this incredible sensitivity to social cues. We're constantly scanning the environment, asking ourselves, what is everyone else doing? What's normal? What will make me fit in? And most of the time, we don't even realize we're asking these questions. Berger introduces us to a concept that will change how you see everything. Social proof. It's the idea that we look to others to determine what's correct, what's valuable, what's worth doing. When you see a restaurant with a long line, you assume the food must be good. When a book becomes a bestseller, you're more likely to read it. When everyone's talking about a new show, you feel like you're missing out if you haven't watched it. This isn't logical. A crowded restaurant could just have slow service. A bestseller could be mediocre. But we can't help ourselves. We use other people as shortcuts to make decisions. And here's the devastating truth. The things you think make you unique, your taste in music, your political beliefs, the way you dress, they're not as original as you think. Berger shows us study after study, proving that we're far more influenced by our social circles than we'd ever admit. You think you discovered that indie band on your own? Look closer. Someone you follow probably posted about them. You think your strong opinions on politics are based on careful research? Maybe. Or maybe they're just echoes of the people you surround yourself with. Even your desire to be different, to stand out, to rebel, that's influenced by social forces too. There's this beautiful paradox Berger explores. We want to fit in, but we also want to stand out. We want to be part of the tribe, but we also want to be special. So we do this delicate dance. We conform in some ways to signal we belong, but we differentiate in others to show we're unique. Think about fashion. Everyone in a certain group might wear jeans and t-shirts. That's conformity. But each person picks a slightly different style of jeans, a band tee that reflects their personality. We're all playing the same game, just with different pieces. And the game? It's called social influence. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I'm aware of this now, so I can resist it, right? Not so fast. Berger reveals something that might sting a little. The more you think you're immune to social influence, the more susceptible you actually are. It's like a magic trick. The moment you think you've figured it out, that's when it works best on you. Because influence doesn't always come from obvious sources. Sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes it comes from people you've never met, trends you didn't know existed, cultural currents you can't name. Here's a story that'll make this hit home. There's a phenomenon called the chameleon effect. When you're talking to someone, you unconsciously start to mimic them. They cross their legs, you cross yours. They lean forward, you lean forward. They use certain words. Those words start appearing in your vocabulary. You're not trying to copy them. You don't even notice you're doing it. But your brain is constantly calibrating, trying to build rapport, trying to connect. And here's the kicker. The more you like someone, the more you mimic them. And the more you mimic them, the more they like you. It's a feedback loop of invisible influence that shapes every interaction you have. But Berger doesn't just want to scare you. He wants to empower you. Because once you see the invisible strings, you can decide which ones to cut and which ones to keep. Understanding social influence isn't about becoming a lone wolf, rejecting everything society tells you. That's just another form of being controlled. Rebelling for the sake of rebelling. True freedom comes from awareness. It comes from asking yourself, do I actually want this? Or do I want it because everyone else does? Am I doing this because it aligns with my values? Or because I'm afraid of being judged? These questions are uncomfortable. They require honesty, but they're the only way to reclaim your choices. There's this moment in the book where Berger talks about how restaurants seed their tip jars with a few bills to make. It looked like tipping is the norm. It works. People tip more. But now that you know this trick, you can decide. Maybe you tip anyway because you believe in supporting workers. Or maybe you don't, because you don't want to be manipulated. Either way, you're making a conscious choice instead of being invisibly guided. That's power. That's freedom. And here's the beautiful part. Once you start seeing influence everywhere, you realize it's not all bad. We influence each other constantly. And sometimes that's what makes us better. When you see someone being kind, and it inspires you to be kinder, when you watch someone pursue their dreams, and it gives you courage to pursue yours, when you're part of a community that lifts you up, challenges you, makes you grow, that's influence too. The key is knowing the difference between influence that serves you and influence that controls you. So let me ask you something. What choice have you made recently that you thought was entirely yours? Your morning routine? Your career path? The person you're dating? The goals you're chasing? Now ask yourself, who influenced that choice? What invisible forces were at play? I'm not saying your choices aren't valid. I'm saying they're more complex than you think. And that complexity is worth exploring. Jonah Berger gives us a gift in this book. He gives us eyes to see what was always there, but hidden. He shows us that we're all connected in ways we never imagined. That we're all part of this massive web of influence, pulling and being pulled. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll notice it in the grocery store when you reach for the brand everyone else is buying. You'll notice it in conversations when you adjust your opinion based on the room. You'll notice it in your own mind when you catch yourself wanting something just because it's popular. This is your wake-up call. This is your chance to take back control. Not by rejecting all influence. That's impossible. But by becoming conscious of it, by choosing deliberately instead of drifting along with the current, by asking hard questions and being honest about the answers. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful thing you can do is know yourself. Really know yourself. And you can't do that until you understand all the forces shaping you. If this video opened your eyes, if it made you question even one choice you thought was yours, then do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Literate Lens, because we're just getting started. We're going to keep diving into books that challenge you, change you, wake you up. We're building a community of people who refuse to sleepwalk through life, who want to think deeper, see clearer, live more intentionally. And I want you to be part of that. Remember, you're not a puppet, but you are influenced. The question is, will you stay blind to the strings, or will you learn to see them? The choice, for once, is actually yours. See you in the next video.